or tell me he'd wrecked the car, or admit he'd been fired from another job. I should have told him to get out right then, should have driven away and left him standing in the rain. But I didn't, because some sick, broken part of me wanted to keep looking at the stranger who wore my dead son's face. I'm heading to Cascade Falls, I said, putting the truck back in gear. About 80 miles west. I know, he said softly. I glanced over at him. What do you mean? You've been sitting here for 43 minutes, trying to decide whether to keep driving or turn around. You've started the engine 6 times, pulled out twice, and then came back. You're going to scatter Jeremy's ashes at Cascade Fall, because that's where you took him fishing when he was 7, and it's the last time you remember him being truly happy. The truck swerved slightly as I jerked the wheel, my heart suddenly pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. How the fuck do you know that? He just looked at me with those 2 familiar eyes. You know how? I wanted to pull over again, wanted to demand answers, but my hands kept the wheel steady, kept us moving forward through the rain and darkness like they belonged to someone else. The kid settled back in his seat perfectly comfortable, like he'd been riding in this truck for years. The rain intensified, turning the windshield into a waterfall between wiper swipes. Each time the blades cleared the glass, I caught glimpses of the road ahead, empty and dark, stretching endlessly into nothing. The yellow line markers pulsed past in a hypnotic rhythm that made my eyelids heavy despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. What's your name? I asked after a mile of suffocating silence. You already know my name, he said. No, I don't. Think about it. Think about the last thing Jeremy said to you. I didn't want to think about it. Didn't want to remember the phone call. Jeremy's voice slurred and desperate, begging me for money he said was for rent, but we both knew was for heroin. Didn't want to remember telling him no, not this time he needed to get help first. Didn't want to remember the words he'd spat at me before hanging up. I hope you fucking die alone, Dad. I hope you end up just like me. 16 hours later, his mother had called to tell me Jeremy was dead. Overdose. They found him in a motel room outside of Portland with a needle still in his arm. The coroner said he'd been dead for at least 12 hours before anyone found him. 12 hours lying there alone, cooling and stiffening.